quite long lead times for the large bedroom homes. This makes sense because Lake of the Ozarks is by and far even more so of a true vacation rental destination. So when you're thinking about those 5, 6, 7, 8 bedroom homes, it's going to take a lot more planning and effort to get everyone together and on the same page and booking. There's just a lot more that goes into those bigger group stays, right? So makes sense that lead time is longer.
Just to point out, so nobody gets scared if in case their July is unbooked, we're still looking at like an average of 50% occupancy for the summer months, right? So like there is still space. The average booking window is like what we see in the middle, right? If you happen to book closer in or farther out, it doesn't mean that anything is necessarily wrong, but just because you're not following these trends.
This is true. All of these things are exactly that. They're trends based on the market.
Welcome to RevLabs by PriceLabs.
Hey everyone, welcome to RevLabs. This is going to be another deep dive episode. We're going to be focusing on Branson and Lake of the Ozarks today. My name's Monique. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm joined here with Aviva. Aviva, want to give yourself a little intro?
Hey everybody, I'm Aviva. I work with Monique on the Solutions Consulting team. Happy to be here.
Cool. Aviva's been with the team for a really long time. She's one of the original employees of PriceLabs. I've been with the team for about 3 years now. And together, like she said, we're on the solutions team. So thanks for joining us. Let's start diving in. We're going to start with looking at our market dashboards, just so you can get an overview of historical performance in both of these markets. Then we're going to jump forward and look at the summer pacing for this year compared to last year. And then at the very end, we're going to take a look at how the holiday weekends are performing. So we'll look at some Memorial Day data. Memorial Day obviously is already passed. We'll see how 4th of July is looking. And then we'll also take a look at Labor Day. So Aviva, let me hand it over to you to have a look at our first dashboard.
Cool. Here we have a dashboard for Branson, Missouri. For whoever doesn't know, Branson is a fairly popular Midwest destination. It's a town in Missouri that's got a really solid set of options for entertainment, activities. It's right on this lovely little set of like Finger Lake situation. So lots of water sports. It's been a popular destination in the Midwest for like decades. And it's very popular with both like young people and families. So year over year, you can see here at the top with our KPIs, it continues to perform well, especially as we head into this like high season summer month period. You get a nice range of property categories from like into 1 bedroom units to larger homes in case you wanted to split. We're sticking mostly in Branson proper instead of navigating out into the lake, into Table Rock Lake, which, sorry.
And would you say that Branson is more of your traditional vacation rental destination, or does it have a little bit of an urban feel to it?
It's got kind of an urban feel, and it's definitely become like more of a busier town in the past like maybe 15-ish years, but busier in like a more adventure parky family destination bar. I don't know how to describe it really. It's a fun town to go to. Like there's not like Dollywood, but there's like a Dolly Parton review situation. They have shows, there's like adventure parks. So there's tons of stuff to do in addition to all of the like nature exploring things that you can do. So it's both kind of like a traditional vacation market, but can also be an urban destination if you don't really like the sort of nature-y feel, if that makes sense.
Cool.
So it's a solid option.
Totally makes sense.
And you can see it's got a nice little airport there, which you can get to easily from like St. Louis, Kansas City. So year-over-year performance remains solid. Like I said, Branson has been historically a popular destination in the Midwest. You can see obviously very much a summer destination with a little bit in the holidays there. Looks like we're kind of dropping in the length of stay. But that's nice.
And
Sorry.
we have some data on the length of stay forward looking, but this does line up with kind of what we're seeing. Booking window right now for June is looking a bit long, but that's going to shorten, being that today is June 4th, so the month is not complete. There's plenty of dates that are going to fill in over the next few weeks as we close out the month. So that number is probably going to go down. Can we go back up and take a look at occupancy and revenue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely looks like there's room to make up for occupancy when we're looking at June of last year. Right now, we're at roughly 58%. June of last year ended at 67%.
Yeah, I imagine
based on and based on how it's pacing, and I have again more forward-looking data here, but it looks like June for revenue, average revenue per listing, of course, looks like we're almost at where we were last year. And that's a good sign, being that it's only June 4th.
Yeah, especially since ADR seems to have fallen a touch there. Oh no, RevPAR.
Cool.
Sorry. ADR actually went up a June. That's nice.
That is great. So again, we'll jump into some of the future data momentarily. Let's actually take a look at this, the supply and demand.
Yeah.
Want to walk us through this one,
Supply
Aviva?
and demand is a useful chart to see just how much the market has grown in the past couple of years. I like to look at, well, it is at average bookings per listing. But if we switch it to weekly, I like this because it is a little bit more smooth and gives you kind of a better idea of the growth of the supply, which actually hasn't been too dramatic if you think about how much some markets have grown in the past couple of years. So an increase of only like 500 properties when we're looking at like a broad range of bedroom sizes is pretty impressive. I mean, it's nice and stable. And
yeah,
bookings continue to come in at a solid pace year over year.
Yeah, and we can very clearly see when the slow season is for this market. Listings are getting less reservations over the winter, which makes sense given that it's a seasonal summer destination. But it's not as sharp of a decline in average bookings per listing as some other extreme seasonal markets. So definitely take note of that.
I wouldn't even call it a decline, really.
Yeah, what is that? January, February, where it's a bit lower.
But once we get into the spring, it actually picks up year over year.
Yep.
Which is nice.
And yeah, I agree with what you said about the listing growth. It definitely looks like it's really stabilized over the last year, especially. Cool.
Should we head over to the Lake of the Ozarks?
We should.
Kind of a similar situation, really popular historic Midwest destination. Also became famous because Netflix made a TV show about it. So here we are looking at the lake. There are towns in here, obviously, but I feel like it doesn't quite have the centralized entertainment situation that Branson does, at least that I know of. I mean, it does have like stuff to do, obviously, like boating and water skiing and adventure parks and like all of the things, but it doesn't have the like
a downtown area.
Bright flashy lights with shows and whatnot. Certainly no Dolly Parton that I know of. Anybody is free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Leave a comment and let us know.
Yes.
It does look like listings are more centrally located to the eastern portion of the lake. based on the color coding here, it looks like those are the ones that are earning the higher ADRs.
And they're like
so that is something to keep in mind.
resort situations too, like condo resorts. So they'll be like tightly clustered. But lots of like resorts with or condos with their own boat launches, and like it's really fun place. It also has been like a good 10 years since I've been down there. So
Yeah, maybe if we have some time at the end of this section, we can actually take a look at some of the amenities that are in Lake of the Ozarks to see what's really strong. That way, if you have a vacation rental there or are managing properties there or considering investing there, you can get an idea of what amenities are performing well and what might be worth adding to your own properties. But first, let's take a look at that historical performance.
similar situation, very strong in the summer months. It looks like, even though June isn't finished, if we look here and here, we're really close to where we are last year, which is good. Occupancy is a touch behind, but again, June's not quite done. And May was almost exactly the same as last year, so that's good. Same situation as Branson. The booking window is long, likely get shorter. The booking window actually grew from May to May, and then super solid length of stay pattern. So very stable market there, or stable trends.
Very cool to see that there are still markets where the booking window is growing, because I think a lot of people are harping on booking windows getting shorter and adjusting your strategies as such. But obviously, this is going to be a market where that's not appearing to be the case. So keep that in mind if you're in this market when you're setting your pricing strategy.
Slightly different from Branson. This market seems to have grown a little bit more. You can see it made like a big old jump in 2024. But the number of bookings per listing has remained steady. So it's the supportable growth, which we can also see by like occupancy kind of remaining steady year over year as well.
That is a good sign.
Yeah, solid destination.
Awesome. Let's jump down to those amenities really quick.
I guess I can just use something.
I think if we had to take a guess, we could probably identify without even looking what the best amenities are, but it always helps to solidify that with data. Now, keep in mind, when we're using our PriceLabs market dashboards, we look at every single amenity that a property manager or host is able to check off on their list. One thing to note is that when you're setting up your listing, setting up your properties, professional property managers are going to make sure that all of these things are checked, because you kind of never know what a guest is specifically looking for. Like, you'll see an iron there. Well, maybe they're going there for a wedding, and that is really important. So you want to make sure that your listing is fully complete with those items. Now, with that being said, we do also track things like hot tubs. I believe sauna is in there. So can we see those?
Let's see. Look. Stop me if I miss it. There's a pool.
There's pool, there's hot tub.
So it is definitely something that people are, where we see the number of bookings outpace the number of listings.
Yeah, so if I were looking at that, we're looking at less than 10% of listings in this market that offer a hot tub, but they're getting over 12% of the bookings. So it might be an amenity that's worth investing in if you're considering.
And it would be easy enough using the market dashboards to build a comp set of hot tub listings of one bedroom category, compare it like their revenue, occupancy, etc., to listings of the same size that don't have a hot tub. So helpful there.
Yep. I also saw lake access in there, and that might be an interesting one to look at as well, because there's plenty of listings in this market that are lakefront, but there's also listings that are going to be a little bit further off the lake. Now, those are probably going to earn a little bit less in revenue, but it would be interesting to see how desirable it is.
It looks like, well, I feel like when people are booking, they're kind of assuming they'll get to a lake at some point. Or the lake.
Yeah. Yeah. So lake access, great. I wonder if we have lakefront separately on there.
Waterfront.
Okay. Yeah.
Not shampoo. There we go. Well, that's pretty even.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of listings are waterfront or lakefront, and they do get a fair share of the bookings. It's probably pretty even now, obviously. If you already own a property there or are already managing properties there, you can't just all of a sudden say, okay, we're waterfront. But it is helpful.
I imagine there are some like condo resorts where they have a centralized like boat launch or beach access or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's head back here. We didn't pull a whole bunch of waterfront listings for Branson, but similar with the amenities, it'll kind of illustrate how, at least here, there's anything different. Patios and balconies. Because this is a more, I guess it is fits urban. Do they also have hot tubs? Well, they do have dedicated working spaces, which is interesting because I don't remember seeing that on Lake of the Ozarks.
Interesting. And it does look like a dedicated workspace is a popular amenity in this market where the booking pace is outpacing the number of listings that have it. So that indicates to me that you're potentially getting a lot of work from home travelers staying in the market, coming for a long weekend, working for a couple days, and then enjoying themselves. So that's one good thing to note. Hot tubs actually, how many listings in the market?
Yeah,
okay.
28.5%.
Yep. And the pace of booking is outpacing the number of listings that actually have that. So again, hot tubs are a super popular amenity.
I wonder if long-term stays. People are looking for long-term stays. So good call on the work from home thing.
There we go. So you can use these charts in a market dashboard if you've got them yourself. Our market dashboards are relatively inexpensive. The Branson one is actually a pre-built dashboard that you can just subscribe to if you search for Branson when you're creating one. Lake of the Ozarks, we don't have a ready-made dashboard yet, but it should be coming soon. In the meantime, you can just create a dashboard based on the location, draw the little area around the area that you want to look at specifically, and then load that dashboard and do a little of your own research. Anything else that you want to add before we jump into the forward-looking data, Aviva?
I think so.
Yeah. All right.
I'll throw it back to you.
Cool. All right. So here we're going to take a look at some of the forward-looking pacing data for 2025 in both markets. We're going to look at occupancy, ADR, RevPAR, booking window, and length of stay. So we're going to start with Branson. I'm going to go through Branson first, and then I'll go into Lake of the Ozarks. We've broken everything out based on small homes versus large homes because the performance is vastly different for both of those. Booking windows are usually different. Obviously, pricing is different. Aviva, if you've got anything to add here, please feel free to just stop me and just add your 2 cents. I always appreciate hearing what you have to say. So for now, let's start with the occupancy for Branson. The black and red lines are showing the small bedrooms versus the large bedrooms using the lavender and yellow lines. You can see that both large and small bedroom homes are outpacing last year's occupancy. Large bedroom homes are crazy ahead. We're talking an increase of, I have my numbers written down here. We're talking an increase of 39% for June, 48% that's the total occupancy. We're talking big differentials here between last year and this year. Almost a 20% increase compared to last year for 2024 in June. 15, 16, I'm bad at math off the top of my head, which is scary. Big increase for July already. And then again, big increase for August. So large bedroom homes are performing really strongly in this market. The smaller homes, not quite as strong, but they are still pacing ahead. What's interesting is that for June, we ended up pacing almost 10% ahead compared to last year. So it's grown as the stay has gotten closer. So this is only going to go up, right? The red line and the lavender line are showing same time last year. So we will have final occupancy for all of these months as the months pass, and you'll be able to compare it to the years prior. But to me, this is a good sign that Branson is a strong market. Looking at ADRs are also outperforming last year for the large homes. For the smaller homes, it's roughly on par, ever so slightly ahead, really negligible. But the large homes, yeah, they're consistently outperforming, especially in July, it looks like. And please feel free to take screenshots of this if you're watching on YouTube, because these are custom charts that are not available in the market dashboards. You could extract the data yourself and create them, but it's probably easier for you to just take a screenshot. So for a reference point, this was the final data for the booking windows for the small and the large bedrooms. Obviously, like I said before, larger homes have longer lead times. This is where we ended up with last year. So just keep that in mind. June having the longest lead time, dropping pretty significantly as we get to August for the large bedroom homes. The small bedroom homes are fairly stable. Does decline over the summer, but definitely not as much as the large bedroom homes. And then here's where we're at in terms of occupancy for the small homes, pacing slightly ahead compared to last year, which is kind of what we saw. Here's where we are with the RevPAR for the small homes. Again, pacing slightly ahead compared to last year. And then here is that occupancy chart for the 5+ bedroom homes. Don't know if I mentioned, but the way that we broke it out for small and large bedrooms is 1 through 4 bedrooms for the small homes, 5+ bedrooms for large homes. So way outpacing compared to years past, or compared to last year when it comes to the occupancy level and the lead time. You can see that it still has like the same time frame here where things really start to pick up, but it kind of was like a lot more of a drastic curve or a sharper curve here than it was in years prior for the larger homes. Same thing for the RevPAR, because the occupancy is pacing ahead. ADRs are the same, stable, if not slightly higher. So yes, the larger bedroom homes are trending better in terms of RevPAR. When we look at the length of stay for the future in Branson, it's pretty stable. So the gray is representing the small and large bedrooms for 2024, and then the yellow and the red are looking at forward looking. June looks like right now it's probably going to break even in terms of length of stay. As people get more flexible with their minimum stays, you may even see this come down to a 2-night minimum. We'll see. But right now it's a 3-night minimum. Right now we're trending in the right direction. So this is sitting at 4. This one's sitting at 5. I realize the labels aren't there, so I apologize, but here's your reference point for 3 nights, 4 nights. Right now, July, pacing a little bit ahead in terms of length of stay. Both small and large bedrooms are sitting at 5-night minimums, or 5-night on average length of stays. We'll again see if that comes down as we get closer. And then for August, last year we ended up at a 3-night minimum, or a 3-night average length of stay for the small bedroom homes, but large homes were stable at 4. So right now, both seem stable. We'll see if the small bedroom length of stay comes down at all.
It'd be interesting to look at the change in supply by bedroom category, that we've broken it down here, because looking at just like the overall numbers, the number of large bedroom homes is still in the double digits in Branson. but the small bedroom homes is like over 1,000. So
Interesting. That's a really great point. If you're intrigued to do that or inclined to do that, you can do so using our custom comp sets in the market dashboard. For the sake of time and efficiency, it's not something that we dove into here, but if you have questions about how to do that or you want to see that data, just email support@pricelabs.co and we can help you get set up. That way you can do that deep dive. Moving ahead to Lake of the Ozarks, looking at the occupancy. Again, in all cases, except for the large bedroom homes for June for some reason, both large and small bedrooms are pacing ahead. Not quite as crazily ahead as the Branson market is, but still a nice little boost here. And even for the large bedroom homes for June, it's only 2% behind the same time last year. So again, strong market for both small and large bedroom homes. Breaking it down again by bedroom count and looking at the total number of listings will give you a little bit more context into, how densely populated each of those listing counts are. But when we move forward and look at the ADRs, looking at large bedroom homes, again, kind of the same thing that we did see in Branson is that they're slightly ahead, but it's not crazy, but it's enough to make a little bit of a difference. The small bedroom homes definitely seem to be steadily pacing ahead, which is definitely nice to see for a smaller bedroom home, given that every dollar counts. And it's a little bit harder to get those rates up high when you're limited based on the guest count. So really nice to see that here. Once again, we're going to look at the booking window. This is the final booking data, final booking lead time for last year, just as a reference point as we look forward. Again, shorter lead times, of course, for the smaller bedroom homes. Quite long lead times for the large bedroom homes. This makes sense because Lake of the Ozarks is by and far even more so of a true vacation rental destination. So when you're thinking about those 5, 6, 7, 8 bedroom homes, it's going to take a lot more planning and effort to get everyone together and on the same page and booking. There's just a lot more that goes into those bigger group stays, right? So makes sense that that lead time is longer, notably longest in July. So right now for all of these months in looking at the large bedroom homes, we're inside that 50th percentile of the booking window. So definitely make sure if you have a large home or are managing large homes in Lake of the Ozarks, you're going to want to make sure that that pricing is really dialed in for any of the homes that are not booked for summer. Small homes, really at this point, again, we're inside the booking window for June and July. August, you definitely still have time to make up, but again, pay attention to that as we move forward. Make sure that those rates are dialed in, your length of stay requirements are dialed in. Looking at the pacing chart, occupancy-wise for the small bedroom homes, ever so slightly ahead, pretty much breaking even. RevPAR is pacing ahead, which makes sense. Like I said before, given that the ADRs have climbed, even though it looks like a small growth, it does make a difference when it comes to these smaller homes. Large 5-bedroom homes, occupancy right on par with where it was last year. At the same time, RevPAR is also slightly ahead for the rest of the summer, looking June, July, August for those large bedroom homes. Now,
can you go back like 2 slides just to point something out?
Sure.
I know we talked about being inside the booking window for July and for like summer, but just to point out so nobody gets scared if in case their July is unbooked, we're still looking at like an average of 50% occupancy for the summer months, right? So like there is still space. The average booking window is like what we see in the middle, right? If you happen to book closer in or farther out, it doesn't mean that anything is necessarily wrong, but just because you're not following these trends.
This is true. All of these things are exactly that. They're trends based on the market. trends cannot account for nuance in your own portfolio. So you do want to keep that in mind. You really do want to know your portfolio here and know, like, if you have a solid strategy that caters towards more last minute bookings that still prioritizes revenue and occupancy, then great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So thank you for pointing that out, Aviva. And if you didn't see, I did circle this here. That black line shows us last year how much of that occupancy was attained in those last 100-ish days for the summer. Okay, length of stay. So again, the gray is looking at last year's length of stay, the final data. Yellow and red are looking at this year's data. We're pretty much seeing everything exactly the same. The only difference is that June length of stays for large bedroom homes has actually already gone down from a 5 to a 4-night minimum. So people are being a little bit more flexible with their large bedroom homes and their minimum stays in June. At this point, given that we're in June, I don't foresee people increasing that minimum stay requirement. Hopefully it holds steady at 4. Again, one of those things that we'll see as time goes on, but definitely good to know that this has changed. So if you are holding on to that longer nightly minimum, you might want to rethink that strategy moving forward. And again, that is just based on averages and what we're seeing in the broader market trends. You know your own listings, your portfolio, what advertising goes into your efforts, the marketing, things like that. So all of these things are playing an integral part in your whole strategy overall. Cool. That's pretty much all I've got for pacing. Aviva, do you want to take a look at the future data for the holidays? Well, historical data at this point for Memorial Day.
I was looking at 4th of July, so let's go back to Memorial Day, which saw some good occupancy in Branson. So ended up at an 85% occupancy, which is super solid given our giant range of bedrooms. Oh, wait. Is that actually what I clicked on? Oh, and as I scroll down, take a look at this like bedroom category split, right? So we were looking at up to 4 bedrooms where you have a whole bunch of 2 bedrooms. And I know Branson, I looked it up here to see if that was a reason. But they do have regulations on number, like occupancy, but it's mostly family related. Like you can have a bunch of people as long as they're one family. But the number of, right? The number of large homes, you can see where we started here at 5 bedrooms. There's like, I think I added it all up to like the 80 something. So less than 100 more than 5 bedroom homes. So we're really a whole bunch of 2 bedrooms, but not very many large homes there. Anyhow.
Which is cool. So if I were looking to invest in that market, I know that there's a need based on how far ahead the occupancy was pacing. I know that there's a need for these larger bedroom homes. And that's probably something that I would look to either acquire into my portfolio as a manager, or if I'm an investor, look to purchase one of those properties.
So solid occupancy for Memorial Day weekend. Almost the same as last year, 85 versus 86%. I don't know how last year today.
It's last year final. I think it's just labeled the same way. You can add in last year final, yeah.
Okay. But how is it 85% today? Shouldn't it be? Unless it's 2024, it was 86.8%.
Yeah, I think that last year final is still looking at just 2024 since we edited the graph and scrolled back there.
That would.
But yeah, right on par year over year, roughly the same. Only 1% behind.
Yeah. And then 4th of July was looking good. We have ahead. Nope, back one more. So 4th of July was pacing ahead. Sorry. So occupancy last year today was at 45%. Occupancy today is at 50%, and we ended 4th of July with 90% occupancy.
That's great.
And then you can see we're already ahead for Labor Day weekend there. So we're
Wow,
yeah, super far ahead.
double.
Yeah. I have to say, like, as I've been poking around market dashboards for a bunch of people that I talked to, drivable Midwest destinations have been like solid this year, honestly.
That's fantastic. So we can reasonably assume that if things keep trending in this direction, that occupancy for both of those holidays may end up slightly ahead of where they were last year. Now, the big question is, what are the rates that they're booking at?
If we go down here, here's our future prices chart. So this is where people are listed. And then you can add in our median booked rate. Looks like people are still booking pretty low right now. So they're trying to like secure a place at a good value, essentially.
Again, this chart is going to be skewed by the fact that there are so many small homes in this market. So if you are looking at that future prices chart and you want to see what the median booked rate is, narrow it down and look at your bedroom count, or like, you know, a much closer range. Like if you're looking at if you have a 2-bedroom and you want to look at 1 to 3 bedrooms, or if you have a 5-bedroom and you want to look at 4, 5, and 6, that's going to give you a much more accurate picture of where the prices are actually sitting at. For the purpose of looking at this, we can at least clearly see for what date ranges property managers in general are bringing their prices up.
There we go. Yeah. That's a little bit more even.
Yeah.
But just to give people a snapshot, you can see kind of the spread of median booked prices here, if it's helpful.
Yeah. Feel free to take a screenshot of this, everyone.
All right. Jumping over to the Ozarks. We head down here, but we have a similar situation for Memorial Day. Oh, no. We were a little bit behind for Memorial Day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was the final occupancy?
83.
Okay.
So 10% behind.
Yeah, nearly 10% behind in occupancy for Lake of the Ozarks we're looking at right now, for those of you who are just listening or just listening. Last year we ended out at 92.5. This year we ended up at roughly 84. So make note of that. But with that being said, future date.
Juneteenth is looking okay. And then
that's right.
July 4th is ahead.
Both pacing ahead as of today. Can you add in that final occupancy for last year just so we can see where those ended at?
Oh, that is last year final. Last year today was unchecked. Nope, I'm unchecking everything. There we go. All right, so we ended up for July 4th at 95%-ish. And then I don't know if I feel like Juneteenth is kind of like just gaining steam as like a holiday.
Right. And it does make sense that this year it might have gained a little bit of popularity because I believe if you're looking at it's on a Thursday. But actually the other day I did a little internet search and some people I don't know if this is federal, but don't quote me on this, but it looked like some people were observing it on Friday, the 20th, to make it another 3-day weekend. Is that where we're seeing the occupancy for that Friday / Saturday?
Yeah, for the Friday / Saturday. So we've got Friday the 20th at 82. Last year was at 80, ended up at 87. And then Saturday we're at 81, and last year was at 88.
So there is a good chance that Juneteenth weekend will end up ahead. So if you're in this market particularly, pay attention to your pricing for those dates. It is only 2 weeks away, so keep that in mind. You might want to be a little bit more flexible with your minimum stays at this point, again, depending on who you're targeting. But pricing wise, you could potentially hang on to those higher prices.
And look at the Thursday last year, today was at 57%. Right now we're at almost 72. And last year we ended up at 70. So we've already surpassed.
Interesting.
So it seems like people are taking the day. They're taking a long weekend.
Yeah, for sure. So in PriceLabs, what's cool is that you can use a date specific override in our calendar to actually say like, hey, just for the Thursday, I want to keep a 3-night minimum. That way someone can book the Thursday. They're going to have to stay through the whole weekend, but you're also still allowing that flexibility for somebody to book on just Friday and Saturday as well.
I'm going to take a look at Labor Day, which is not super ahead here, just a touch.
Okay. I'm fine with, on par with or even slightly ahead. What we want to make sure we're not seeing are declines.
Yeah.
Because if we're seeing declines, then you're going to need to dive into what's causing that decline.
Slightly higher in the median book prices here in Lake of the Ozarks compared to Branson. Branson, we were solidly like into the towards the 20th, 25th percentile. Here we're creeping up near the 50th.
And what does the listing distribution look like for this market?
A lot more larger homes, not like significantly different, but like solidly over, I would say 300.
Okay.
But still, 2,000 plus smaller homes.
Okay, cool. Good
so
to
similar,
know.
But I think people are willing to pay a touch more to get that lake access and all of the water things, because that's what you go there for.
Exactly. That's why you see a lot more seasonality in Lake of the Ozarks than you probably do in Branson, because in Branson, you're likely finding things to do even in the off season when people are like budget travelers are looking for somewhere to go for a quick getaway. Whereas Lake of the Ozarks, I've actually never been. Is that sad? Because I watched Ozark. And I loved it. And I am a nature person. So I don't know. Do I need to go to Lake of the Ozarks?
You should go. There's so much. It's very pretty. And like I said, it's been like 10. No, it's been like probably 15. It's been a long time. But it's gorgeous. And you can't so it's probably changed dramatically since I've been there. Although Midwest doesn't really change that much.
It would be interesting for you to go back and compare your experience before and after the TV show. I'm sure people listening to this have had that experience, so please feel free to share it with us because now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. That would be really fun. We should take a trip. I feel like we should do like a PriceLabs. We should all get in like an RV and go to like major vacation destinations and do like PriceLabs on the road.
Well, stay tuned. PriceLabs is going to have some road shows coming out.
True.
Nothing concrete to announce yet, but stay tuned. Follow us on LinkedIn, social media. We keep everything updated. Any parting words, Aviva?
If you have questions, either about RevLabs, market dashboards, or anything else PriceLabs offers, please reach out to us. We love to answer questions, make sure people feel informed and supported. And if you have suggestions to do another one of these, we also like those.
Yeah, we love market suggestions.
Yes. I would like to explore a market I know nothing about and see, bring someone on and see if we can figure out something. I don't know. Do a puzzle episode.
We may or may not have some of those in the works. So subscribe to RevLabs, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on all of those channels. It is a little bit easier to watch on YouTube, I believe. So you'll be able to see all those charts that we reference. If you have any questions, like Aviva said, support@pricelabs.co. You're not talking to a robot, you're talking to a real human. We do our best to answer your questions thoroughly. That way you're leaving informed with data so you can make good decisions to run your business. I guess we'll wrap this up there. Thank you for joining me, Aviva. This was a good time. We should do it again.
We should. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.